that have signed up. So let's give everyone a chance to get on. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eileen Nee McGinn, and I am a 1981 alumna. I'm a current Holy Cross parent, and I'm also the gift co-chair for our 40th year reunion this year in 2021. Since we can't bring you all to campus, including myself, we thought this would be a good opportunity to bring a little bit of the newer parts of campus to you. So thank you for joining this all alumni session, and you'll get to know two of the newest facilities at Holy Cross, and we will have a tour of the Joanne Chouinard Luth Recreation and Wellness Center, as well as, which is also called the Joe, and then also a tour of the Pryor Center for Performing Arts. This afternoon, we're joined by Jamie Shannon, who is the Director of Campus Recreation, and Ed Isser, who is Associate Dean for Performing Arts at Holy Cross. Jamie and Ed will have time for a Q&A session at the end, so please submit your questions through the Q&A function on the Zoom. And without further ado, let's get started. So thank you, Jamie, for joining us. Kick it off.
Thank you so much, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the Joe, as it's called. My name's Jamie Shannon, and I am the new Director of Campus Recreation. So I'm very new to campus. I just started in early January, and have been here for a very exciting time so far this semester. So today's plan is to walk you around inside the Joe. We'll spend about 15 minutes here, and we'll start with a quick tour of the upper area, which is where most of the cardio and strength equipment is, and then come back to the first floor where our spin studio, multi-purpose studios, and free weight area are. Let me flip my camera. So with that, welcome to the inner lobby. This is our welcome desk. This is what you first see upon arrival. This semester, we opened to student use in early March, after finishing up the last of the construction, getting me hired and onboarded, and then figuring out, obviously, COVID adjustments and operations. So this is the welcome desk where you would check in, swipe in, and then head in for a workout. I will mention that you see the lift, the green lift here. We have some walls that are being re-wallpapered. So I just mentioned that as part of the new construction and putting the finishing touches on here. So with that, we're going to head upstairs. The space on our left that I'm passing by, this is our 2-court gymnasium. This was used for COVID testing this whole semester, but just very recently that moved to Hogan. So we now have 2 multi-sport courts, which are set up with basketball, volleyball, badminton, and then just a variety of other sports that can be played there as well. So up here is the primary fitness floor. I'll get kind of a good view and then do a piano So you can see here I'm facing Hogan. Up here we have just a very wide variety of ellipticals, treadmills, stationary bicycles, selectorized weight equipment where you can easily pick and select what weight you want. As part of my hiring and opening this semester, I hired about 45 students to be part of the team here. So they perform duties such as cleaning the equipment, checking people in, opening and closing the building. So without them, it's, it wouldn't have been made possible at all. So continuing a lap around the track, it's a 1/10 of a mile track, which is a popular question that I get. It's very, very uniquely designed. You'll notice the obvious huge windows for great light and natural light. We have over 35 pieces of cardio equipment. And I mean, probably double that for strength and lifting options. The wallpaper, I'll pause here, was and the quotes were very specifically chosen. This one reads, "The body heals with play, the mind heals with laughter, and the spirit heals with joy." Continuing down here, we have some more cardio equipment, and then this will eventually be turned into more of like an abdominal and core and strength area. The floor plan layout for this semester had to be drastically altered to get as much distance between each of these equipments. So you can see there's between 7 and 10 feet between everything right now, which is just for COVID purposes. So I pause here, back down on the gymnasium court. So campus recreation encompasses fitness and wellness, intramural sports, and also club sports. So this will really be a lively space for all students on campus. We plan to offer, we're still coming up with the programming because the spaces are still new, but a variety of intramural leagues. A few club sport teams will practice here, and a lot of open recreation play. So just coming in and finding a court available to hang out and play with some friends. Completing the lap around the track, and then we'll head downstairs to the spin room and the multi-purpose studios. As you might have heard, the Joe is physically in the same place as the previous field house. So the old building was raised, and then this one up in its exact spot. So this part here rounds out our cardio, a couple step mills, stairmasters, and then our whole lineup of treadmills, which are extremely popular on campus. I'll pause here with a really great view over to Hogan, and then the building we'll be learning about next. So access to the Joe this semester was open to students only, since we had significant capacity reductions. It was decided that at the time, employees wouldn't be able to come in last semester. As of this summer, we have since opened up to employees, which is great. So now it's students and employees. There are not present plans to open up to the broader, just general community yet. That's going to be evaluated this coming next academic year, and then reevaluate it after that. I'll pause here as well to let you read the quote up above the welcome desk. So it reads, "Outward recreation, when well ordered, as I said, is also prayer and a means by which you please God our Lord." And that's by Saint Ignatius of Loyola. And then down this way, so we'll have lockers available for folks to borrow while they're here for a workout. And then down this corridor, and here is our spin room. This was not open this semester because it needed to be used for testing, but we'll be offering both live instruction classes as well as some broadcasted and live streamed. So all these spaces are very well equipped with different audio and visual features. So we're in the process of learning about those and testing them out to practice before the semester. That's the spin room. Spin is hugely popular by the student body. And then right across the hall from it are our two multi-purpose studios. These are adjoining spaces. So right now the room is fully open, but there is a divider that goes and cuts the room in half. So I'll pan to the side, but these are just awesome open spaces. We'll have things like yoga in here, meditation, high intensity interval workout classes. So largely taught in person by instructors, but also supplemented with on-demand live streamed classes. I'll step down to the other end to get the corner view, which is one of the more impressive spots in my opinion. I'm sure you recognize the familiar view down College Street, overlooking the Worcester community. And then to round out our tour, we'll leave on the other end of the room and take a look at our free weight area. So this room is home to many of our dumbbells, our benches and plate loaded and free weight equipment. So also for the semester, we're gonna have like orientation sessions for students who might not be as familiar with some of the equipment. So to be able to have them make an appointment and walk through the spaces and learn how to use different pieces and start to create a workout plan of their own. So with that to conclude, the other two offices that are now have their home here in the Joe are student wellness education. Their office will be here to really harness the collaboration between campus recreation and wellness and their office, and also worksite wellness for more of an employee standpoint. So with that, I will turn it back over to our host. And again, thank you for joining me here at the Joe. And I hope you have a great afternoon. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. That is an amazing facility. And as I'm sure many on the call will acknowledge, not at all like the field house we also fondly remember. So thank you so much for that tour. Now we are going to, and I just can't imagine how thrilled the students must be to have access to that kind of a facility. So let's keep the excitement going for the new facilities on campus. And we're now going to look at a pre-recorded tour of the new Pryor Center for the Performing Arts and how that is coming along.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Ed Isser, and I am a professor of theater here at Holy Cross. And it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce you to the Pryor Center for Performing Arts. This is an amazing experience. We are going to be the first people to ever see this space. So now, we're going to have to keep this just between me and you, but if you can keep a secret, come on, follow me in. Let's go. Standing right outside the entrance to the Pryor Center for the Performing Arts, we're about to walk in. The main entrance, as you can see behind me, above me, is the edifice of the art gallery as it overlooks the Hogan parking lot. And as we walk in, we're actually walking in on the second level. So let's go in and see what we find. So we came in the main entrance of the building and we're on the second level. And if the camera scans to my right, you'll see that we're overlooking the main vestibule or atrium of the theater complex. And right in front of us will be a gigantic, gorgeous stairway that's going to go both down to the lower level and also flow up through the entire building. And as we're now going to take a walk, and we're going to walk to my right down this hallway, and if we can keep filming, we'll see that we're going to come up here onto the second level of what's going to be one of the most exciting spaces in the building. This is going to be the Media Lab or Create Lab. And this is the space where technology and pedagogy and creativity will intersect. We're hoping that this is the space that will truly take advantage of the technology of the 21st century, including 5G, which will allow us, we presume, to do things like augmented reality, virtual reality, holograms, and a host of other things that we can't even imagine at this point. And this will be the space where these ideas will be developed into the 21st century. Things like computer gaming, apps, you name it, this is the space where it's going to happen. Good, and as we continue, and if we look to our left, we are always overlooking what we call the beehive, the place of intersection, where every point in this building comes together. In fact, right ahead of us on the second level is what is called the Beehive Bar. And it's a space where you can stand, and there will be a place where you can put your computer, stand and work and look over and be a part of the community and what's going on in the space. Or you can stand in the bar area and look over a performance that's going on down below us. And if we scan from the Beehive Bar to our left, looking down below, we could see this lower area is the entry to the Flexible Space Theater. Now, what's going to make this truly exciting is it's going to be a gigantic garage door that's going to separate the Flexible Space Theater from the central beehive area. What this will do will allow us to open up that garage door and turn this entire lower area into a gigantic performance space. And again, that would make this the best seat in the house over here at the Beehive Bar. And over there is the Beehive Overlook. So we assume that these are going to be very popular spaces where students can hang out, socialize, study, and be a part of the action. And the action is the entire building, this beehive of creative activity. So we're still on the second level of the building, and we turned a corner from where the Media Lab is, and we're now standing right in front of the entrance to the concert hall. But it's the second level of the concert hall, it's the balcony level. And so as we walk in, and I have never seen this before, I cannot imagine what the view is going to be looking down onto the concert hall stage. So you want to come with me? Come on, let's take a look. Oh boy, here we go. Oh my, holy moly. Wow. So this is the concert hall looking down from the balcony. And you can see it's a very large opening. It's a 50-foot opening proscenium, which will allow us to put on opera or a choir concert, a full orchestra, and again, touring shows in the future, so if we so choose, because it is a fully outfitted theater as well as a concert hall, which makes it a pretty unique space. As we scan the camera on the right to the wall or either side to the left, we'll see that this really interesting concrete fluting has been built into the space, both for aesthetic reasons, because it looks gorgeous, and I imagine it's going to look amazing under lights, but also for acoustics. So this is going to be a world-class facility where we hope not only can we bring in great artists, but we'll also be able to record them. And in a little bit, we'll show you where the world-class sound studio is going to be. That's going to be directly connected to this space, which will allow us to do recordings in here. So we now have moved to what we would call house left on the balcony, and we're looking from the balcony over to the orchestra right in front of us, and to the left over the orchestra pit, and of course next to that is the main stage. Just a couple things to point out about the orchestra pit. It's a relatively large orchestra pit, suitable for holding an entire orchestra, and most importantly, suitable for holding a pit orchestra for a musical or an opera. But in order to make this space usable so that we can have lectures or classes during the day, the challenge is how do you get rid of all those instruments? And one of the great things about this space is that we have a mechanized orchestra pit. And so at a push of a button, all of the instruments will simply disappear below, and we can set up a podium for a lecture, and we're good to go. Fantastic space. If the camera pans over and we look actually at the orchestra itself, it's an incredibly intimate space that will allow every single person who's seated here to feel like they're directly connected to the performer or to the performance. And for the people on the stage, it will allow an incredible intimacy between themselves and the auditors. Very exciting space, beautifully designed. And then also, just so we know, if we look all the way across at the wall, we can see the beginning of the installation of what's called the rigging system. And this will allow us to hang curtains, it will allow us to fly in and out lights, and it may even allow us to do one or two special effects. That's what rigging does. It's the secrets of the theatrical magic. And up above, we could see the beginning of the rigging for the lights, and we can see what are called catwalks, which are really fascinating. If we go all the way up to the third floor, we would see how that floor, which is called the technical floor, operates. And this allows the technicians to access and focus the lights in a safe and effective manner. And of course, the hope is that we use this space as a training laboratory for our students, and their safety is absolutely paramount. And a catwalk like this will allow us to provide a world-class experience that will not only train our students, but will keep them safe. I am now standing on the stage of the concert hall, this magnificent concert hall with a 50-foot wide opening, the exact same opening as one would find at Lincoln Center. And from this perspective, we can look out and survey the entire audience. And right in front of us is the orchestra. And above it, in the half circle, is the balcony. And again, as I mentioned when we were up there looking down, how intimate and how close you are to the audience when you're in this space. We are standing outside the small ensemble rehearsal room, and you can see that it's an incredibly impressive space that is built upon a floating floor that allows for isolation and clean acoustics, as well as it has an incredible height to the room, which again will feed and provide a really clean, beautiful sound. And not only a clean sound, but a pure sound, because in a little bit I'm going to show you right next door to this space is the sound studio. So not only is this room the small ensemble rehearsal room, but it is also a de facto recording studio. And it's going to have a baby grand, it's going to be set up for wind ensembles, and again, other small groups so that they can both practice and eventually make a recording. I know it's a little bit hard to imagine because we're right now looking at a construction shell, but we walked down the hall from that wide opening that revealed the small ensemble room, and we're now looking actually at the side door to the small ensemble room. And if the camera pans just a little bit to the left, you'll see the opening to what is going to be the sound studio itself, where there's going to be recording equipment, a console, but most fascinating, there's going to be 10 to 12 teaching stations that are connected to the main console, because not only is it going to be a functioning recording studio, it's also going to be a functioning classroom where we'll get to teach the next generation of students the recording arts. One last thing about the recording studio that's pretty cool is that it is going to be the heart blood of the entire building. Every space that I've showed you so far and every space I will show you is going to be fed electronically into this room. Now, what this does is this will allow us to feed either video or sound recording directly from that space into the studio where it can be professionally processed. So again, as we move into the 21st century and we think about things like streaming, web, whatever, it will all come out of this space. So we are still on the second floor, and we've now turned the corner around from the sound studio, and I'm standing in front of a room that right now is obviously just a shell, but what this space is going to be is a dressing room and a seminar room. And the way that's going to work is during the day, classes will be scheduled in this space, hopefully back to back to back, and around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, the staff of the building will come in, we'll pull down panels, and dressing mirrors will be revealed. The chairs that have been around the seminar table will be turned around out to the walls where there will be a series of dressing room stalls. And there will be 2 rooms identical. One will turn out to be the men's dressing room, and the other will be the women's dressing room. Both will be totally usable during the day as seminar rooms. So we are now inside the flexible theater. And looking over my shoulder, we can span over the space, and we can see that it's filled with building equipment right now. But we can use our imagination, and because it's a flexible space theater, it can be anything and anywhere we want it to be. And we're standing on the balcony catwalk that goes around it. Again, this could be used easily in performance. This is where a Juliet could call down to her Romeo. But if we look directly across from where I'm standing, we're actually looking right into the lobby of the Beehive. And I showed you this before, coming the other way, but now we're looking at it from inside the theater. And when I say to you that the flexible theater has a gigantic garage door that opens up the space to the entire building, well, you can see it right now in front of you. And you can see how it makes it such a unique and exciting space. This space will be limited by only the imagination of the students, the faculty, and the artists that we bring in here. And again, if we look up, we'll see another variation of what I refer to as a catwalk in the other space, in the concert hall. But this is a much, much more obvious catwalk. And you can see that it's a catwalk grid. It allows us to hang any kind of projector or instrument almost anywhere in this space we want to, and turn the entire space into a flexible performance area. We're now on the 3rd floor of the building, and we are standing right outside of what is going to be a world-class costume shop, where our students will learn how to design and construct costumes. The Department of Theater does a 5-show season, as well as the student theater organization. The alternate college theater does a 2-show season. So this provides our students with all kinds of opportunities to learn and practice their craft. This space, as well as the scene shop on the 1st floor and the design labs, which I'll show you in a second right across the hallway, are truly the laboratory spaces in this building where we are going to train the next generation of theater artists. And we're now still on the 3rd floor, but we're standing outside one of the most amazing spaces in the entire facility, and it is the dance studio. It will also be used quite often as a reception area. Dance has become one of the most popular programs at the college right now. It has been made an official part of the theater and dance department, and we now offer a minor in dance. And a lot of our students, especially students who are going to law school or medical school or business school, love to practice dance. And so now we're going to have a facility that's going to meet their needs. It will also be the space where we will hold our gamelan classes. And the gamelan is an Indonesian music program that we've had at this college now for 20 years. We are one of the leading proponents, spaces where gamelan is taught and practiced in New England. And again, the dance studio will house both the gamelan music program as well as the Balinese dance program. And this is where we'll prepare the annual dance Balinese concert, which will be held in the concert hall across the way. Okay, Holy Cross alumni, this is a space you're going to want to see, and a space you're going to want to see for yourself. On the 3rd floor of the Arts Building, I just showed you the dance studio. we've come around to outside the dance studio to the dance studio terrace. And as you can see over my shoulder, we can see all of Worcester. I don't know if we can see the Puller Ballpark from here, but as you know, Worcester is taking off, and this art center is going to be a big part of the renaissance of the Worcester area. And we imagine that this terrace connected to the dance studio will be one of the most attractive reception areas on campus. But anyway, we look forward to seeing you up here on the terrace after you spend some time inside the Art Center. So we are still on the 3rd floor. We came from where the dance studio is, and we hooked the corner, and we are now looking into the art gallery. And you can see right in front of me is the large glass window. So this gallery is actually looking over Hogan parking lot, or what you probably remember being called Hogan 3. The art gallery, which is right above the main entrance of the building, overlooks the side of the campus from that direction. If the camera goes to my right over to here, this area over here is going to be a small seminar presentation area where the gallery of the director or art professors can bring in a work of art and show it to students. Right behind that area is a large storage area for artwork. And on the other side, all the way across, you can see there's a wall there, but behind that wall is going to be a workshop for restoring art. And in the back corner is the office for the director and the assistant director of the art gallery. And so this entire area, which if the camera pans all the way around, you'll notice that we are overlooking, like every space in this building, this central beehive. So we're standing at the base of the beehive, looking up at the magnificent skylight. And right behind us, if we slowly circle around, we have the scene shop, the expansive scene shop, but it's not quite this expansive because we're missing a couple walls. We're missing a wall on the right side, which will form an alleyway to the loading dock. And on the left side, there's also a hallway, but also there'll be a couple offices for the technical director and the assistant technical director. This entire space will be open with glass so that if you're standing in the beehive, like I am right now, I can look over and I can watch them working in the set shop. And if I'm standing in the beehive, actually at this very spot, I'll be standing right at the Beehive Cafe, so I can get my cup of coffee, and I can pay for it, and I can stand here, and I can watch them build a set as I drink my coffee, or I can rotate around, and there's going to be a little performance area here, and so it's lunchtime, and I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to eat my lunch, and I'm going to listen to a noonday concert being performed right here at the base of the Beehive atrium. And that sound is going to fill this entire hallway, and that light is going to pour down from above, and it's going to be glorious.
Greetings. I hope that you enjoyed this unique opportunity to see the incredible progress that is being made on the Pryor Center for Performing Arts. Thank you to Trudy and Neil Pryor, and to all those who have joined them in the major support that empowered the construction of this state-of-the-art facility. We are so excited for all that this amazing center will make possible for our students. And I cannot thank you enough for all that the Holy Cross family has provided for this initiative. Please continue to follow this extraordinary venture and look out for other updates in the coming year as we draw closer to the opening and dedication of the center. It will be wonderful to see so many of you in person sometime soon. I hope you enjoy the rest of the summer.
Thank you, Ed. I am sure that the entire campus community is going to just enjoy all those spaces so much once the center is done. It's incredibly impressive, and I can't wait to see it when it's complete. So now we have some time for Q&A with both Jamie and Ed. There were a number of questions submitted in advance, as well as several that were submitted through the Q&A function. So I know the ones in the Q&A function, people can see the answers that have been populated. So I'm going to start with the ones that were pre-submitted so that we're sure we cover those as well. And the first question I'll throw to Ed, and it is, when will the Pryor Center for Performing Arts be open and ready for use?
The fall of 2022, and we expect to see everybody there. It'll be a real celebration. So fall of 2022, mark your calendar.
Great. Okay, the next one, and I guess I'll send this one to Jamie. How is the space from the Joe different from the Hart and Luth Center, and is there overlap?
Yeah, thanks for that question. The spaces differ, but also overlap. So the spaces here are primarily for campus recreation programs and services. So more of the entire campus population, including employees. We will still, overlap up at Luth in regard to some of their specialty spaces. So like the pool, in regard to the ice rink, and then the outdoor fields to offer our programs. So there's a good partnership there and one to build upon. And there, I saw a couple similar questions in the chat about the Loyola space, and I should have just mentioned with that. Loyola Fitness Center is going to reopen in the fall. It has been gutted of its equipment and is being redesigned and laid out with new cardio and strength equipment, similar to what you saw here, just on a smaller scale, to be available to students, faculty, and staff. And that will reopen in the fall.
Okay. Will the alumni have access to both of these spaces going forward?
I can start. Not on an ongoing regular basis, at least in the short term here for the Joe. I certainly imagine to work with alumni relations for special occasions or certain weekends. But on an ongoing basis, we're still coming off of COVID and figuring campus out on that front, but also determining the capacity and how much demand there will be on any given point here in the new buildings.
And obviously the Arts Center is open to the Holy Cross community, the Worcester community, and the alumni community. We have brought alumni back in the past for artistic works and projects. So I hope that the alumni will play an important part in the building going forward.
That'll be great. I think you've both kind of covered, what level of enhancements that these facilities present and bring to the college, but is there anything else you'd like to add on that front in terms of how this enhances what the students have access to? Ed, why don't you go first on this one?
Yeah, well, I think I saw that there were a couple of questions about what happens to Fenwick Theater. Well, Fenwick Theater goes away. Fenwick Theater is not an appropriate space either for an audience or for even for trained students. Fenwick Theater was created in 1962. It was a converted hallway auditorium, and so it lacks, it doesn't come up to code, and it has to go. And so for us, it's actually a straight switch out. We don't gain any additional space in terms of theatrical performance space, but what we do gain is an amazing dance studio, and we will hold on to the Pit Theater, which is in the basement of O'Kane. So there will be a very funky experimental space where students can explore and make some mistakes, damage equipment, so that they're trained to go into the Arts Center when they're ready to use the more advanced space and equipment.
And I can say, as an alumna and a parent, I will not miss the heating and cooling system in Fenwick Theater.
No, Fenwick Theater does not come up to code on the most basic level, and we, this has been an ongoing problem, and so I think the community has to understand that the need for a new theater facility was absolutely essential both for training and for safety. And also, I think in terms of our peer institutions, we had really fallen behind. And this isn't just in terms of attracting students who want to study music or theater, but for the general student who comes to campus. There is no artistic identity on campus. And so the center is going to be totally transformative, both in terms of recruiting students and bringing and transforming the entire student body. So it's going to be really exciting.
That's great. Jamie, anything you'd like to add in terms of just how this enhances the students' experience?
Yeah, I think it's really an unprecedented time for campus in regard to recreation and wellness. It's going to gain a hugely vibrant, welcoming, accessible space for the whole campus. Among other things, we're going to offer a wide variety of classes to help students focus on their physical and mental well-being and health. So I'm excited to be here and to have joined the community, and look forward to bringing this fully to life over the next year.
Okay, I can see that Tom Flynn is on, and so if you'd like to jump in on these next two questions, Tom, the first one is, why were various campus buildings since 1980 or so why don't they reflect the architectural aspects of the primary buildings, such as O'Kane?
I guess I don't agree with that question. The basic way to put it, Stein Hall, I'm class of 85, and the buildings that were built previous to arriving on campus were hill dorms. I'm not sure what kind of architectural integrity they can claim. They are made of brick. So Edith Stein Hall was built in 1986 and tried to mirror the architecture using brick and limestone of the other buildings. And then moving forward from there, we had Edward Bennett Williams Hall, which was in 2003, built behind Carlin of limestone and brick. Carolyn Parkby Smith Hall, which was designed by the very famous architect Graham Gund, blends beautifully into Fenwick Hall and reflects O'Kane in a perpendicular axis. When the Integrated Science Complex Smith Labs was built in 2008, it was built with limestone as the basis to not dominate the architecture with brick. But brick is used as well. And that integrates Bevan Hall, which is an old historic facility building at Holy Cross, with the newer, but not that new science buildings of Swords, O'Neill, and Haberlin. And then you move up the hill to Figge Hall, which was built in 2011, again, brick and limestone. And then we move to the Luth Center and now the Field House, which is built out of brick. So certainly in the last 20 years, there's been a desire to maintain the architectural integrity of campus. And I think certainly this new facility designed by Diller, Scuspidio, and Renfro reflects the architecture of the campus, but certainly takes it in a whole different direction, which was the very intended goal of both the college and of Neil prior when making the gift.
Okay, then there's a second question about what future building projects are on the agenda.
Great. So if people have been watching the Become More campaign, there were 4 facilities constructed in the campaign. The first, very specifically and very clearly decided to be the first, was the Joyce Contemplative Center out in West Boylston. It's a beautiful facility. I know a lot of people have not been able to access it since it's so new, but if you get any chance to do it, alumni are invited to attend retreats there. Go on the website with the chaplain's office. It is truly remarkable. It's one of the most fantastic spaces you could ever visit, and all of campus has been able to use it. It's much more broad in use than we would imagine. The Luth Athletic Center, an expansion of the Hart Center, has really transformed the physical plan for athletics. Again, we were behind in accommodating our students' needs in many sports, and especially women's sports. It was a vital facility, and it's a much needed upgrade. And then the 2 new facilities on campus that we're discussing today. So those were the outgrowths of the previous strategic plan. The college goes through a strategic planning process every 10 years or so. There's currently one underway, and but we're in a presidential transition. So Father Burrows will finish his time on June 30th, and Vince Rougeau takes over on July 1st. So he will inherit the strategic planning process, and whatever comes out of that regarding facilities will be guided by Vince Rougeau through coordination with the Board of Trustees and the Strategic Planning Committee. Most likely, the focus is going to be on residential life and student life. We know that the Hill dorms are past their prime, and there's also a desire by students for very different forms of residential life. Holy Cross has been very kind of strict with the traditional dorm buildings for years, and we'll probably see something coming up that will address those issues.
Thanks, Tom. That covers the ones that were pre-submitted in advance. So I'm going to open up the Q&A for, I'll start with the ones that are open, as we still have a few minutes here to respond to some of these. The first one is, will the theater productions be in the concert hall? Is that the space where they will be, Ed?
Most of the theater productions will be in the flexible space theater. Right now there's discussion whether we would put musicals on in the concert hall, and it certainly could support musicals and it could support operas, and that's something we'll consider doing along the line. I think initially the theater department will put on most of its productions in the flexible space theater.
Okay, thank you. Here's the next question. An anonymous attendee asked whether there's any chance there will be a ping pong table or two. There used to be one in Hogan before that space was transformed to the hub. Is there space for anything like that, Jamie?
I do love some ping pong myself. There is not inherently space for that right away, but if there's something that we can carve out for it or repurpose an area that turns out to be underutilized, that would definitely be something I would look into. But there's nothing as is slated for ping pong.
Okay. Next question comes from Bill Supple, fellow classmate of 81. How many existing art spaces like Fenwick Theater will remain, or does everything move to the Pryor Center? I think Ed answered vis-a-vis Fenwick Theater, but and also the pit staying there. Are there any other relevant spaces that will move or stay?
Well, Brooks Concert Hall, which had been renovated about 5 years ago, a beautiful renovation, will remain. And it will remain as an intimate place for a string quartet or for a very small ensemble group. The majority of the music department's work will transition into the concert hall. So we will maintain both Brooks and the concert hall. And there was also a question about art gallery and the use of the art studios in Millard. Millard will remain, and there is no space in the building, studio space, but the gallery will be used primarily by art students, and the walls of the center, and there are massive walls in the center, we hope will be populated by student artwork.
Great, thank you. Here's a question about what is the maximum audience capacity for the auditorium?
400 in the concert hall and approximately 180 to 200 in the flexible theater.
Nice. Here's a question really for both Ed and Jamie. How is the air circulation, filtration, and HVAC systems in these two buildings? Were plans changed and updated once the pandemic hit?
Well, let me go first. And the reason I'll go first is because one of the reasons that you have a very high price tag on a building such as the concert hall is that you have to have an absolute first-rate HVAC system that's absolutely silent. So it has the absolute highest quality of air exchange you possibly could have. I don't think it could be upgraded by any means whatsoever. So yes, I'm laughing because HVAC, you spend more time talking about HVAC in an art center than almost anything else because of the noise that it generates.
Jamie, how about the athletic spaces, the Joe?
Yeah, I can't speak to whether adjustments were made along the way because the timing of my arrival, but I do know that it is, again, a very first-rate, high-quality system, and we were able to use the space as much as possible this semester. The larger constraint was actually the spacing that was needed between equipment. So that was definitely more of a limiting factor than anything related to the HVAC.
Okay. Great. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. I'm looking at 3 things at once. Make sure I'm getting through these. Here's a question from Richard Smith. I'll throw this to Ed. You did talk about the seating capacity of the concert hall and the flexible space. He indicated that the initial online design seemed to show movies being shown outside. Is that part of the design?
Absolutely. So you're all Holy Cross alums, so you know that walk from Hogan up to the Heart Center was a killer. I used to do it and turn around because that was my workout. What's really cool about the design of the building is that they've literally, with dynamite, blown out the side of the hill. So there's a beautiful natural amphitheater on the north side, or actually it's the south side of the building between the Art Center and the Luth Center. And that natural amphitheater is a perfect place for outdoor theater, or as shown in the design, projecting in movies. And we've already actually used it this semester for a projection, and it's incredible because if you stand up there, you can see it projected on the back of the building, but you also have the whole Worcester skyline. So in the evening, it's quite gorgeous. So we're now kind of thinking about definitely doing regular movie nights out there.
Wow, exciting. Okay, the next question, I guess, would go to Ed as well. Are there plans for what will be put in place of Fenwick Theater? What will go in that space?
I think Tom would have a better answer than me. I imagine they would use it as an auditorium, probably, which we need on campus.
Yeah, I think it's very much up in the air right now. There's movement of various offices on campus from time to time. I think the college has long thought of how to treat admissions and where the admissions office is and has been currently and where it might be more prominently shown in front of the building. But again, that's not really a large discussion. So I think Fenwick Theater will probably get absorbed into some other structures.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. And then this will be a question for Jamie. What happened to the golf simulator at the Joe?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's still slated to be here. It is on the lowest level of the building, which I didn't take us through because it's otherwise just a small seating area down there and some locker rooms. But the golf simulator is in progress with construction. It is being spearheaded by the athletics varsity staff. I imagine the initial focus will be for the golf teams. And then I'll work with them to see what expansion can come for recreation and community usage for that.
Great, thank you, Jamie. There are a series of questions that have, there were typed in answers, 15 of them. We have a few minutes. I'll maybe scroll through those and point out some of interest. I think you know where the facilities are located. The Joe is where the old field house was, and the Pryor Center is where the tennis courts and parking lots were. Here's one about Jamie had mentioned hiring 45 students, and the question was, are these work study students? And will there be 45 on an ongoing basis? And the answer is most of them, yes, are work study, and there'll be even more hired as hours and activities expand. So great opportunity for work study students there. I guess the offerings have expanded well beyond Kimball, so great for them. We've talked about the fitness studio in Loyola reopening. We've talked about where the performances will be, the theater performances. We talked about ping pong. Oh, I guess these ones went here when we answered them. Okay. Most of them, I think, have been handled. Is there anybody that has any other questions? It's kind of like, here's your opportunity. Okay, well, those are all the questions that have come in. I think we've tried to answer them as best we were able to. I want to thank both Jamie and Ed for joining us today and giving us the tour of these new facilities. I know if we had been able to be on campus, you know, we would have been poking our noses in these buildings, just trying to find out, you know, what they look like and get a feel for the space and even just begin to imagine how it would change the student experience, as it will change the alumni experience as well going forward. There will be opportunities to utilize those spaces going forward. I want to remind everybody that this is the virtual reunion week, so please follow up on the email you were sent or go to the college website and sign up for other virtual reunion activities. We'd love to have as many people participate as possible. So thank you again, everyone. Look forward to seeing you in person soon. Thanks.